My third guy plays some games.
All right, hi y'all. Weather Guy here, and we are back with more of the great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and we're here to have Barok van Zieks' potential final testimony as we are heading towards the very, very end of this long saga. Absolutely bananas, but let's hear his testimony. I've never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. The point is, no common thread exists between myself, Gregson, and Dr. Wilson. Clearly, therefore, there's no reason to suspect me of being behind the assassin exchange. Yeah, I totally honestly believe he's innocent. And that Strongheart's the big dickhole. But we'll see. So you deny all accusations by the prosecution, both that you are the Reaper of the Bailey and that you masterminded the assassin exchange. I acknowledge that the public at large believe me to be the Reaper. However, that's a fallacy which I alone am in a position to forswear. Naturally, the prosecution believes the testimony just given by the accused to be untrue. Ryu. Yes? Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? It's the truth, that's what we want. Yeah, a desire to uncover the truth. Even if the truth proves your client to be guilty? From all my experiences in this courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. I want you to remember what you just said. Oh boy, that's ominous, isn't it? Enough dilatory chatter. Counsel for the defense proceed to cross-examine the witness. Yes, my lord. I know exactly what you're thinking, Kazuma. I know you're just waiting to point it out. The contradiction you're convinced lies somewhere within this man's testimony. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see indeed. Man, I really want some music. There it is. We have all of our strikes available to us, which is fantastic. Let's do our presses. So you're not what the general public refer to as the infamous Reaper of the Bailey? Exactly. Don't imagine for a moment that the court will be satisfied with a one-word answer on this. I realize that. If you're intending to comment on every sentence, this could take a while, Kazuma. Didn't you find it disturbing, though? That one-by-one defendants who'd been acquitted after your unsuccessful prosecution were killed? Let me answer that question by posing another. If one-by-one defendants who'd been acquitted after your successful defense were killed, would you find that disturbing? Disturbing? I couldn't possibly say how that would make me feel with a one-word answer like that. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's obvious. Well, that told me... But even though I'm not the Reaper, that doesn't mean I ignored all the hearsay. Fantastic.
Hold it!
You say for years. How long exactly? Since the very first time the Reaper's influence was felt in this courtroom. 10 years ago now. Your investigations led you somehow to Inspector Gregson, you're saying? I didn't want to believe it. He was a personal acquaintance. We'd worked on cases together in the past. A friend, even? It felt like a betrayal, but I demanded permission to search his office at the yard without his knowledge. Which is when you found his secret notebook, is it? It's when I first learned of the location he'd noted only as Grouse, and the appointment at 5 p.m. on the 31st. Though I didn't know the significance of those details at the time. So now we're at the nub of the matter. As it turns out, the significance for me personally was very unfortunate.
Hold it!
But why did you go to that specific location? I thought that if it was the Reaper's headquarters, then by turning up there at 5 o'clock I would catch whoever was involved red-handed. Sadly, all that was awaiting me was the inspector's corpse. Yes, even though it wasn't designed for you, you walked straight into the trap set by Jigoku. Exactly. Jigoku had intended to implicate Hugh Boone, but unhappily for me, I arrived at the scene first. Huh, a ridiculously careless blunder. Moved on to just the throwing insults around, I see then, Kazuma? Think what you will. It doesn't change the truth.
Hold it!
Man, I don't know where to inject some evidence here, honestly. There is a link between you and Gregson, though. Of course, we were close acquaintances. We'd worked on numerous cases together. I considered the man to be a mentor of sorts. He taught me a number of important lessons. He did? Such as what? Oh? See, this is where... Oh, no, it's not important. I thought it was going to be important because the music died down, but it's a joke. Where to buy good fish and chips and such like. Well, that was convincing. Dr. Wilson was a coroner, of course, but that was some time in the past. And in any case, I understand it was several years ago now that he was invited to work at a Japanese university. That's right. He was a visiting professor at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo. It should be unambiguously clear then that no link exists between myself and him. In other words, I had no motive for sending some assassin across the oceans to kill the man. Sounds plausible enough, and I want to believe it. Something about this just doesn't quite sit right with me. So that's the statement that we seem to be needing to jump on, I think.
Hold it!
Certainly as it stands, there's no evidence to suggest that you concocted the scheme.
Objection!
But as it stands, we have only the accused's insistence of his innocence. Sorry? Perhaps there is some reason that would explain why he masterminded the assassin exchange. And if a reason could be established later in these proceedings, then the accused's claim in this testimony that he wasn't involved would amount to perjury. Well, yes, that's true, but... Clearly, Kazuma intends to identify a reason and use it to make his case. So if we don't identify something first, he'll gain the advantage. This could be dangerous. Alright. Convincing testimony by Lord Van Zieks. Certainly, with no apparent connection between the three men, there's no way to establish a motive. Testimony seems unassailable as far as I can see. Oh dear me, what a bleak expression. I agree, there doesn't appear to be any particular link between them at first glance, but with the inclusion of one other person, I must be overthinking it surely. A person? Another person, Mr. Ryu. Need to think back over all the information we've gleaned so far. Alright, and now I'll review my notes about the case and all the evidence in the court record. Could it be that Lord Van Zieks has something to hide after all? Alright, here we go. Boom, boom. Alright, let's start looking at our evidence. Hang on a second. Okay. I just had to move my Coke so I could see if there was actually an option to look at people, because it was interesting that she mentioned person there. This was gotten by Hosonaga. I don't think there's a connection between Hosonaga and Van Zieks, surprisingly. Don't need that. Shouldn't be relevant for Van Zieks. This is just for talking to Sholmes. Gregson and Wilson. Oh, is it? Here we go. This is something. Yeah, because Wilson was a coroner on this. And it's his brother. So this is it.
Objection!
Yeah. What is this? An autopsy report. Wait, this is 10 years old. From the autopsy of Lord Clint Van Zieks. What? My brother's autopsy report? I'm pleased to see the defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. Yeah, there is definitely a connection there. Order in court. What reason do you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, counsel? The autopsy report of the professor's final victim is an indelible link between Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, and the defendant. Not that accursed name again, the professor. I personally researched all of the court records relating to that case. I know that at the time autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's souls. And for a member of their aristocracy like Lord Clint Van Zieks, it was unthinkable. But someone implored the powers that be to allow the autopsy to go ahead. Inspector Gregson. He declared that he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure. And it was Dr. Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible on the document. As promised by Gregson, the autopsy did indeed produce evidence. Evidence that conclusively proved Genshin Asogi was guilty of the murders. In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. Indeed, that was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes and the conclusive evidence that convicted him. It enabled Lord Van Zieks here to avenge his brother's senseless death, with a marvelous victory in court. Marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. What? Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? If the inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death? That's outrageous. And now, 10 years later, for some reason the secret has been threatened and needs protecting, which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced, isn't it? By someone in power in Japan and in Britain, using the two killers recruited for the assassin exchange. Oh, that's very good. That's very good. Order at once. 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer to be sentenced to death. But it was all a sham, and I swore to myself that I'd prove it. Which is why I had to come to Britain. Whatever the cost. Oh no. You'll have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese's tenacity of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. Come on, Kazuma, you know this won't wash. You're claiming your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago. You must see that without evidence, that's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. Let's see it. As the court has heard, I crossed the channel to France with Gregson on the 31st. I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Shishiro Jigoku. But my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. What truth? The truth about the evidence. And he acknowledged what I had already deduced. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. What? A secret? I know nothing of any secret. While we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword Kuruma before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. You're that Asogi's young lad, are you? And what? You're gonna cut me down with that thing, is that it? That will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth. That's all. Man, this is some drama, isn't it? I'm enjoying this. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was a professor. There's no doubts in my mind. But unfortunately, back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So you admit it then? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. Orders? What exactly did you do? Speak! I'm not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it. That's right. Even then. Gregson was such a gangster. Look at that guy. So that's when the tip of the sword broke. Oh, Kazuma. The results of Barok van Zieks' autopsy were fabricated. Then the investigating officer Gregson and the lead coroner Wilson must have known about it. And they can only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. The man leading the case for the prosecution, Barok van Zieks. In other words, the defendant did have cause to organize this exchange of assassins. Exactly. And as was established earlier, it has to have been the Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku in Japan to arrange the exchange. So it follows that the Reaper's true identity can only be that of the man who stands accused in this courtroom today, Barok van Zieks. Terrible. It's gonna be rough to come back from. How can you object? You're the witness. You can't object when you're the witness, can you? I don't know how that works. Kazuma Asogi. What? What you've just told the court, are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? Heard it with my own ears. His shameful admission. Oh, this is good. In that case, I know the name of the Reaper. He's gonna say it. He's gonna say it. He's gonna say Strongheart. I know he is. What? What? Lord van Zieks? I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one. Lord van Zieks isn't the one behind all this. Then yes, there's only one other person who could have done something like that. I believe I know who it is too. You? I just had a feeling this name was going to come up. Oh man. Oh, this is a big one. It's definitely this fucker. Look at that. Look at those evil eyes.
Take that!
Destroyed. The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself. Lord Mail Strongheart. What? Lord Strongheart? Yes. Yes, it's true that 10 years ago the defendant handled the prosecution of the professor in court, but he only took over the case after his brother Lord Clint Van Zieks had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Well, Lord Van Zieks? 10 years ago, I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. The investigation to that point, the supplication of the lords to allow my brother's corpse to be examined. All the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial. But I see now, I was very much mistaken. It's a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago. That same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Shiojigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when we recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. Alright, you gotta find yourself guilty. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you it's no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. It doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal? Don't be absurd. The defense's claims are utter nonsense, a wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself? You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. That's utterly untrue.
Objection!
But I heard it from Gregson's own lips. He admitted to it. And where is your evidence? What? Gregson's dead now. Unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand? You mean to say... I forget how the system works in your little backwater country. But in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case. I have no intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated by anyone or anything. Brutal. You don't like to see that. Order in court. Following Inspector Gregson's murder, and in the light of Dr. Wilson's death as well, there's really no one left who could testify about the events of 10 years ago. Is there? So that was the real purpose of the assassin exchange. This court has no business raking over the coals of a case that was concluded a decade ago. The accusal brought by the prosecution and the defense is categorically denied. I take it there are no objections. Kazuma, he's more or less waited his whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do now? Is there no other avenue we can go down in pursuit of the truth about what happened all those years ago? If only there was someone who could testify about Clint Van Zieks' autopsy. There is someone. There's gotta be. He's gone to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks, even so far as dispatching an assassin all the way to Japan to ensure Dr. Wilson's silence. Dr. Scythe won't say anything in Strongheart. But there's still one ray of hope.
Objection!
Actually, there is one person. One person who could still testify about that autopsy. Don't be ridiculous, there's no one left. Who, Ryu? Who? Tell me. Kazuma, Please, this trial can't end. Not yet. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for the truth. Okay. I'm actually not sure. I feel like it might be Mikotoba might be her. She might know. Let's try this.
Take that!
Oh, it's just denied. Well, that's unfortunate. I think it's Mikotoba.
Take that!
Okay, it is. An expert in forensic medicine, my lord, Professor Eugene Mikotoba, 16 years ago. He came to London with Sashiro Chikoku and Genshin Isoge as a visiting student. And what could his testimony possibly tell us? Professor Mikotoba was a primary assistant during the autopsy in question. He was also the person who actually penned the report. Incorrect. The autopsy was carried out by the coroner, Dr. Wilson. The report carries a signature. It was a primary assistant's duty to keep a written record of the coroner's work during the procedure. In actual fact, the coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. In other words, Professor Mikotoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish. This demands that Professor Mikotoba be summoned as a witness as a matter of urgency. Whatever really happened in the autopsy laboratory 10 years ago, something only he can tell us. He's gonna deny it. Unfortunate for us. That's just not good. Yeah. We gotta figure something out. Yeah, I don't know. So we're gonna have to refute those claims first, I guess. That's annoying. Oh, are we gonna have Mikotoba go both ways? Is that what he's gonna try to do? Maybe. This guy's brutal. We're gonna have to get Strongheart. Not good.
Objection!
This is all baloney. Yeah. Sorry, I'm reading fast. There's no way he's gonna get away with this. He does have like all the power though, doesn't he? Just stab him. So good. So good. No way. Who's stopping it? What a hero. Great. That's where we're going to stop. Next time we're going to see what Sholmes has to say to save the day. I don't know how he got here so quick, but I'm so thankful. That's all I got. Thank y'all for watching. Next time we're gonna potentially conclude the trial. I'm not sure. We'll see. That's all I got. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll see you next time. Peace out.